Hello everybody, I'm Alfred, and the video we're about to watch and listen to is titled Crazy Agricultural Tech Innovations in Israel. So let's get started.
For bees, underground sensors that can detect how much water a tree's roots need, vertically grown tomatoes and cucumbers, drones that can harvest crops and herd cows hands-free. Here are 5 Israeli agricultural technologies that are changing the world. Joe is one of the most professional and seasoned shepherds you'll find. A shepherd's job is to find food, water, and shelter for its herd, protect it from predators, and preserve the unity of the group. What if I told you that this could now be done from the comfort of an air-conditioned car? Meet Noam and Tvir, 2 farmers from the Upper Galilee, who developed a drone-based method for cow shepherds that is efficient, quick, and easy. They established bee-free.
This is interesting, using drones to manage sheep and cattle. Very interesting.
A company that uses a drone named Joe to transfer up to 1,000 cattle herds across huge fields with 0 human involvement.
This is very interesting. With 0 human involvement, that means you can make it automated. There's much to be said about this. Traditionally drones are for viewing, spying, and perhaps shooting and bombing, but that the drones could be mechanized in a way that they can be used to control and manipulate the cattle, where they should go, what they should do, and all of that, also to protect them, whatever. That's interesting. But I would imagine that more sophisticated robots would be needed for interesting situations. Let's say there's a threat, like in a place where, like, let's say there's a lion or a predator. How the drone address that? Perhaps the drone can use tranquilizers, if it's seen in time. But tranquilizers are just tranquilizers. So what happens if the beast, like let's say that it's a lion or a lioness, and it's rendered immobile because of the tranquilizer shot by the drone? What happens to the cattle? Will the cattle still remain there? Let's say that most of them still remain there. The lioness will later wake up, and what happens then? Or will you need to shoot again, or would it comes to the place where the drones or more powerful robots has to be able to, like, shift the predator to a different distance and all of that? And of course, when it comes to medical services that needs to be rendered to cattle, let's say cattle gets stuck on thorns and gets scratched or scraped or hurt, so how the drones fix that? But of course, the drones can alert the humans to go in and all of that, but then it is not necessarily 100% not needing human involvement. But in any case, it's still a step in a very innovative direction, when it comes with limited human involvement in the management of sheep.
Throughout history, farmers have always looked up towards the clouds to anticipate the rain. Today's farmers, however, must deal with an entirely different cloud. Meet CropX. The company developed a cloud-based platform that integrates.
This is interesting, CropX. So let's remember that name.
Data from unique soil sensors to help farmers optimize their irrigation and fertilization programs. The result, a revolution in the decision-making process for agricultural field management. Data is collected and processed from unique soil sensors along with satellite imagery and more. The information layers produces insights that help farmers streamline irrigation and fertilization plans, thus saving about 40% in water and 20% in fertilizer. And
this is interesting. That's saving 40% in water and 20% in fertilizer and increasing crops yield about 10%. 10% is not much, but I guess it's something, That's interesting.
Crop yields by about 10%. Our cities are indeed smarter, but they are also bigger and more crowded. Serious battles take place over green patches in urban areas where crops can be grown. But who said that crops have to take up a lot of surface area? Vertical fields, innovative urban farms.
Vertical farming is not it's somewhat new, but it's a concept that can really solve a lot of problems. Like certain places in the world are getting overpopulated. Let's look at Nigeria, for example. In Nigeria, there's the population keeps increasing, but the farmland remains the same, and the land that is used, there's the used land, the unused land, and all that, in places like Lagos, the land keeps rising because the population keeps increasing, so the demand for land keeps rising, at extraordinary rates, and that also drives rents to the roof, and owning a house to the roof, the cost of owning a house. And then brings the question of, what about agriculture? What are all these people going to eat, with the population multiplying? Of course, there are people like Bill Gates that are trying to use the vaccine pandemic and things of that nature, viruses that they build in Wuhan lab, viruses they sponsor to try to decrease the world's population. But with the world's population increasing, which is a good thing. I'm actually for the world's population increasing, and you should too. You shouldn't be on Bill Gates' side. But that aside, with the world's population increasing, what happens to the food that people eat? We are used to farming in a horizontal sense, in a plain sense, like, oh, this crop is planted on this land, so that land is occupied. But there is a concept of like a skyscraper, vertical farming, building in layers, because most plants don't need deep roots, and even plants that need deep roots, as long as they could grow to a certain stage and be harnessed before they are cut down or replanted, whatever parts of their bodies, whether it's the stems or the stalks or whatever part that needs to be replanted to start a new plant, those kinds of things can be done through vertical farming. And so it's like a special skyscraper kind of thing, or where it's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers of plants. So on a piece of land, like the same square meter of land that could have taken like 2 or 3 crops, can now take in a vertical way, it could take like 200, 3,000, depending on how high you want to go with the vertical farm structure.
Independently local food that is more accessible than ever using vertical space. Vertical Field's cutting-edge technology has revolutionized the field of urban agriculture, forging a new era in the modern urban ecosystem. Advanced sensors and monitors, LED lighting, and proprietary modular pods allow crops to grow in optimal indoor conditions year-round. The company's vertical farm
this is
provides
powerful,
a regular
this indoor farming, growing crops indoors, this is basically this is capitalism solving all the nonsense that eco-friendly and global warming nerds and crazies keep talking about and keep yapping about. Most of what they are talking about, they don't even know what they are talking about. But you see, this is how capitalism solves that problem. This is amazing that this company is doing. We can launch segments of our companies that does this and does it better on a larger scale. I like this a lot.
Using vertical space. Vertical Field's cutting-edge technology has revolutionized the field of urban agriculture, forging a new era in the modern urban ecosystem. Advanced sensors and monitors, LED lighting, and proprietary modular pods allow crops to grow in optimal...
Using sensors can really help when it comes to pests invading the plants. Let's say that a snake or insect invade the place, or a wasp or something, and that would actually eliminate a lot of the need for fertilizers and things of that nature, to control, using chemicals to control pests, and then spraying those chemicals on the plants, that might affect, at the end of the day, what the plant turns out to be and even how it might taste, So it's good that it's all natural when it's in a more controlled environment. That is something we need to think about, and we have to do, because somebody will do it and somebody will take full advantage of vertical farming. So it is best that we are the ones who are taking full advantage of vertical farming in different parts of the world, and get farmers involved.
Indoor conditions year-round. The company's vertical farm provides a regular supply of fresh food that is grown on-site and free of chemical pesticides.
So what I just said, free of chemical pesticides. But of course, when you have sensors like that and it's in a controlled indoor environment, why would you have to bother about pests?
Ensuring food security 365 days a year.
And you see, because of that, it ensures food security 365 days a year. Because, in our farming, there are a lot of unseen things that could happen that affects the flow of crops and even how certain fruits turn out, because when it is growing in a natural space in the field, there are different insects that might act, or different factors, rain, this and all those things. They are not controlled in how they beat on the crops and the trees and the plants, and the different effects that they will have on the crops and on the fruits.
Imagine autonomous drones that hover above you in the orchard, select which fruit is ripe for picking, harvest it, and prepare it for transportation. Sound futuristic? Absolutely.
You see, that is amazing. That is basically the whole agriculture being carried out by drones. The drones check, and the machines checking out where the fruits are ripe, and then also dealing with the plucking them, and then the transportation also.
Enter travel aerobotics. They developed autonomous drones for agriculture that are designed to make up for the shortage of fruit picking human hands. The drone is equipped with a specialized robotic arm and a bunch of sensors that allow it to pick fruit from trees with no human involvement, and knows how to
detect. This is powerful. Without human involvement, it knows how to detect the ripeness of fruits and all of that. This is amazing.
The ripeness of the fruit. The robots operate as a team, tethered to a ground unit.
Of course, what we see needs to be improved, because this takes a lot of time. If we were to put a human picking the fruits and this mechanism picking the fruits, and only God knows what kind of electricity it needs and how far it can go, because you can see this wire here, so it needs a lot of improvement. We can be the ones that build it, and we should be the ones, with Alfred and friends, we should be the ones that move in and build this, with one of our subsidiary companies, and then really patent it and push it all over the world, Make sure that we are not just creating a great product that will advance farmers, but to enrich Alfred and friends in the sense that we partner with the farms, so we are getting a cut of every fruit picked, so it's more of a subscription base. And of course, the Alfred and friends, subsidiary companies, shares will be available to be publicly traded,
which collects the fruit, fills the bin, and continues down the row of trees. Internet for bees, yes, that is actually a thing. The honeybee has a very important job in our lives. The pollination process of bees is responsible for about 1/3 of all of the food that we consume.
See, that is an important fact. I didn't know. The pollination of bees is responsible for 1/3 of all the food we consume. I don't know how accurate that is, but that is an interesting scientific tidbit that to be thrown out there.
Parallel to the pollination process is a phenomenon known as colony collapse, which causes the death of bees and can lead to the loss of crops. Instead of beekeepers having to take care of beehives manually, Israeli startup Bee Hero aims to transform the beehive into a smart beehive. Bee Hero uses technology which combines algorithms and big data to collect information in real time on the beehive and its environment. The data is then stored on the cloud and analyzed through machine learning algorithms. Finally, the information is transferred to the beekeepers in real time, allowing them to identify and address problems quickly and efficiently. Early detection of any...
This is interesting. This is using algorithms and data collection to aid the beekeepers to understand what is happening in real time, with the entire beekeeping process. But keep in mind that this does not involve a lot of automation and no human involvement like most of the other things that have been said. So we can look into developing technologies and robotics that would actually make this a process that requires no human involvement, and it's well and properly managed.
Problems can help beekeepers prevent damage and actually improve the beehives over time. Impressive, right? From bees to cows to apples to cucumbers, these Israeli agricultural technologies are building the future.
So that's very powerful and that's very innovative. Now, if you like to be, involved with Alfred and friends, and you like to invest, you like to be part of the Investors Club, reach out to us on invest.alfred.vip or go to alfredandfriends.com. And if you've not given your life to Christ, go to Alfred.vip, click the salvation prayer link, the SP link in the main menu, and you have the page come out as prayer of salvation. Say that prayer and give your life to Christ. Also, there's a salvation prayer link in the description below. Thank you, and God bless you.